everybody, 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 everybody.
I'm a rapper, I'm not a poet. Poet, I'm not a rapper. Guess it's opposite there, cause you niggas just got it backwards. Got me sick to my stomach. Go up on my lantern. New trio is Frio, the most terrible tandem. Deliver shock value, but no, not Timberlanding. Critical observation alerting you ambulances. Clap on and clap off. Rap on and rap off. Hard times for hard rhymes, that concrete, that asphalt. If I did look twice, I guess that's her asphalt. May I assist you and score, get my pass out. Matter of fact, it's what you need. Need some rest, you just fatigue. See, technically I'm filing Mrs. Wallace, I'm Rashid. Know this beat is a banger. Have no reason for anger. If I'm slightly deterred, you know I'm giving the finger. I'm a savage like Corey, but not in need of Topanga. Right like 90 degrees, you in the need of an angle.
Welcome to the Free Lunch Podcast. This is your boy Tight, and I got BG's with me. What's going on?
Ow! What's happening? Free Lunch Podcast. What's going on, Tight?
Man, I don't know, man. I'm having a really good day today. I can't tell you why. I woke up, had a smile on my face, went to work, had a smile on my face. It's been a good day. What about yourself?
It's that spirit all over you. I feel good too.
Energy is never lost nor destroyed. It's transferred from one entity to the next.
So it's good energy, positive vibes. Everybody's doing well. Outside of yesterday's situations and circumstances, but everybody seemed to be upbeat today, so we're ready to do it again.
But I'm motivated. I'm extremely motivated, and I've been anticipating getting back on the mic and doing another recording for Free Lunch, the podcast. I don't know what to say.
This is the platform for them 80s babies. We coming with news you can use, keeping people informed, bringing information and provoking thought. So this is going to be the place to come to when you want to be enlightened, or you just want to hear some positive words and some thought-provoking topics to get your day started off right. This is going to be the spot.
We the C-SPAN of the hood.
we the ghetto C-SPAN, CNN. We're gonna give you that news and that perspective that's reflective of what you're used to and where you come from and what you're familiar with.
So today, I think today's topic and conversation is gonna be extremely interesting, but at the same time extremely entertaining. And to kind of bring us home. And for the next segment, as I typically do the Vine, I'm gonna try to take us back to a time and to a place where each and every Saturday, or every other Saturday, we would go to the barbershop, and when we walked in the barbershop, there would be different types of songs playing. So today, to kind of set the mood for some of the topic and conversation we're gonna have today, I'm gonna give us a different genre today.
A different genre.
I think so, because this kind of take me back home, and this kind of take me back to a place on each and every Saturday that we would listen to, and we would if we weren't out there in the yard, or we weren't raking up the leaves, or we weren't at a Little League football game, we would go to that barber shop and get that haircut, and we would always have the radio playing.
So it's safe to say there won't be no rap today.
It's definitely not no rap.
Okay.
So when you ready, let me know when you're ready.
Dog, I'm ready. Do it for the Vine.
Let's go, baby, to the hole in the wall. I've had my best time, y'all, at the hole in the wall. It's 3:00 in the morning. All the damn clubs are closed. I this place, y'all. I didn't want anyone to know. I walked into the room, had my nose in the air. It's 7 in the morning, and I'm still in there. Let's go, baby, to the hole in the wall. You ever heard that?
Yes, sir. Chicken wings and cigarette smoke. That juke joint music right there made me think.
Go ahead.
Think about my uncle one time for Steamboat. R.I.P. But yeah, that's that feel good music. Maybe get up and do my uncle 2-step, boy.
Gotta do that 2-step with
2-step.
love.
Yeah, you gotta pop your fingers. Bring your finger close to your chest. Give him that 2-step. Stick
to
that
the
leg
whole.
out there.
Hey, I'm dancing in front of the mic right now. Wow.
Yeah, the juke joint.
So
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a good song and a good segue for kind of what we're gonna talk about today. Cause today we're gonna kind of switch it up a little bit. And like I mentioned earlier, I think it's gonna be interesting, but at the same time, it should be pretty entertaining because today we want to kind of discuss what I'd say some of the hot topics are, some of the conversations that have been going around. Excuse me, that have been going around in conversations at your local barber shop. Some of the conversations are some of the sounds from the street and some of the conversations from the street. So kind of just wanted to switch it up a little bit and talk about, I guess, some of the hot topics are some of the conspiracy theories, kind of related to Ebola, the Malaysian jet airplane, which was MH370, and I like to call them is, but I think the official name is ISIS. Is.
That's how it's spelled.
Yes, definitely. So, um, and just to give the people some background on this particular topic and kind of how it morphed into an actual conversation, we got a lot of recommendations around Ebola. So the whole Ebola crisis that's been going on. I even saw you, BG. Give a shout out to your Instagram handle.
BG on IG. I gotta get sexy with it. On IG, BG underscore the 27 kid. BG underscore DA27 KID. Follow me.
I even saw on your Instagram handle where you had a message around Ebola. There was a lot of conversation around the Malaysian airline when that took place a few months ago. Is should I call him? Can I call him is rest assured? Or should I call him by their official name? ISIS.
Man, call him whatever you want to call him, but be careful. Whatever you do.
Is was just popped out of nowhere. So when those sort of things happen, a lot of conspiracy theories come up. A lot of questions be raised. I don't even know if you remember the the plant that blew up in Dallas and the train that kind of blew up on the train track also was kind of related, and all of this happened around the same time. So a lot of conversation was stirred up in the local barber shops, and just from conversations from some of our activists, Dick Gregory being one of them, talking about the Malaysian jet airplane and conversation around where did is come from. So I guess the question I pose to you is the government lying to us about this and their relationships between, well, before we even get to that question, let's kind of just break down the three. What you think? Let's just break down the three. So
Go
like
ahead.
Ebola, I kind of want you to give us a few facts or a few topics about Ebola, or just your whole Instagram handle when you kind of touched on Ebola.
The biggest thing for me was that um in the last few weeks or months in the news, it was just Ebola this, Ebola that. And if you were not aware, it would just seem like Ebola was just a new virus that had just been created for that moment in time. But in researching it, the first discovery of Ebola was 1976. So that Instagram post came from. It just basically read Ebola 1976 to current time. Um so that's 30 plus years
Right.
of knowing about the virus. And then you've had outbreaks on a smaller scale to where it affect hundreds, 100, 200 people over in African countries, but it's been over a span of 30 years. And then with that, you see the statistic that even though there were a small number of reported cases, the fatality rates were still 50% or greater. And then we fast forward to where here in America, we somewhat got familiarized with it in the early 2000s. You still, from 2009, you've got right at 15 years of more information, more data that I feel like, because you have so many international and world health agencies, that you've got to have an eye on this. Somebody has been looking at it. And I just don't believe that you can look and see a disease that at a 50% clip is killing people, and we just sit back and watch it, and nobody is really forecasting and anticipating what the next step is. But it seemed that way because it just exploded. By the time we found out about it in August, September, it had already affected thousands in West Africa. People dying in the thousands in that particular region. And so it's like, what the hell? How did that happen? Does thousands of people die overnight in a matter of 2-3 weeks? I'm of a firm belief I'm of a firm belief that we haven't been told the truth about it. I'm on the assumption that people have been watching it. There have been studies being done and all this type of stuff, and all the way up to the point to where there is potentially a clear-cut vaccine or some type of treatment for it that's been in development all this time, and it's just been withheld from the people.
So two comments that I actually got from listeners, right? One of them was, and this is all in regards to Ebola. Why are people being treated and surviving, but people in Liberia are dying by the thousands? Another comment I got was, they have been trying to study a vaccine for years, but the U.S. CDC ain't go. So this second one is coming from someone in the medical field, right? They have been trying to study the vaccine for years, but the U.S. CDC government wouldn't invest the money to develop it because the precious Americans weren't dying from it. This is how this experimental drug saved those two doctors. So I guess those two nurses or what have you. So that's coming from two of our listeners that kind of were the brain storm behind us doing the Ebola topic. So before I even go any further, shout out to the Houston crew for y'all for listening.
Houston crew.
Yeah, thank you.
H-Town coming down.
H-Town. So shout out to y'all for even coming up with the idea and the recommendation.
Already.
So that was the first one. I did my research today. So for those of you that are interested, CNN has a link to some facts about Ebola. And just to give you a few facts, they say in Liberia, there have been 6,535 cases and 2,413 deaths of Ebola. Sierra Leone has had 5,338 cases and 1,510 deaths. United States, 4 cases, 1 death. And like you kind of mentioned earlier, Ebola was actually, the first case of Ebola was back in 1976. So your thoughts around Ebola and this whole thing is, you don't think we were getting the true story from the government?
No, we're not. And we're not, because if that were the case, why did we get presented with that initial scare over 15 years ago about the potential? Because it became a real thing. We learned about it, we heard about it, and there was that we were given some idea of how fatal the disease state was, and then it disappeared. And so in that time that has gone forward, we haven't heard anything else about Ebola, to the point where it was like, okay, well, they found a cure, or Ebola just disappeared. And then here we come again, and then it just hits us in the face. It's like, what? That ain't really possible. I don't think in today's time, with how connected we are, especially in the world of health, and we've got all this international country to country travel and all this kind of stuff, there really, in my eyes, is no way that something as dangerous or as deadly as a disease state like this could go unchecked with nobody doing anything. No research, no study of a vaccine, nothing. I just don't believe that. And to go to that point where you're talking about the development, I was watching on the news when they were having, I think it was a congressional hearing where they had the head of the CDC, and then they had Dr. Fauci, who's the director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Disease, and they asked him the question about, well, has there been any development of a vaccine? And his answer was basically echoing what you just said, that the drug companies and the people behind that really didn't have any incentive to put money towards developing a vaccine because of the numbers. Prior to now, there weren't enough numbers. I guess there weren't enough fatalities to support doing that. So they had no incentive, no monetary incentive to start production. So we are not getting the full truth, and it could be remnants of similar activities of what we saw in like the Tuskegee experiment, to where you just a disease is set in place and you just watch it and monitor it, and people die because you're withholding treatment and doing certain things like that for future study and for future research. So we could be seeing some of that as well.
So that's one topic. Ebola has been a hot topic, and just in the news in general. This podcast may be a little bit later on discussing the actual topic, but it's still relevant from the standpoint that it's been one of those topics and discussions that a lot of people want to know, why has there been this certain push over in the United States, whereas this has been something that's been happening over in Liberia and in Africa for years. The next topic I kind of mentioned earlier was the Malaysian jet MH370. Do you remember that one?
Just disappeared. Big ass. Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. I'm in that mode. My bad, Mama. I apologize. But I'm just saying that big plane just go disappear. It just disappear. And still no remnants, no nothing has been found. A 777?
Yeah.
Man.
So Dick Gregory did an interview that I recommend to everybody. If you go to Google or if you go to blackamericaweb.com, Dick Gregory, who has been well known, activist, comedian, but he's been very well known in having different conspiracy theories and coming up with different theories around various topics. But he was interviewed on the Tom Jordan Morning Show, and on that show, they asked him about the Malaysian jet airline, and essentially he had some really interesting things to say. And what I'll try to do is kind of summarize his theory on that particular airplane. And he kind of said something similar to you, as far as how in the world can an airplane, with all the technology we have today, we got Big Brother watching us everywhere. We got Twitter. We got all these different social media outlets. And one of the things, actually, I didn't hear this from Dick Gregory. I actually heard this before, where he talked about, where one of the personalities said, why out of a plane that seats over 200 people, none of the relatives tweeted or said anything? There was no tweet about it. How can a plane with over 200 passengers and nobody even tweet about it? But
they ain't had no Wi-Fi, man. You got to have Wi-Fi to do that.
But I'm just saying, the relatives of the people Why haven't we seen anything from the relatives of the people that died? Did they have any tweets? Dick Greg gonna say it. His conspiracy theory was essentially he said there were 20 top scientists on that plane, and he said that the scientists had applied for a patent for some kind of evil stuff that they were doing. He said some kind of germ warfare. Them patents are worth about two. He said those patents were worth about $2 billion, and he said that those scientists had worked for Texas Instruments. Yeah, he said that apparently the patent was approved 3 days after the plane was missing. So essentially, what he was getting at was he said that there were about four scientists, or he said there were four scientists that had applied for this patent about drone warfare that had worked for Texas Instruments, and that the patents were worth about $200 billion. And 3 days prior to the patent actually getting approved, the plane went missing. And he said that there was only one person from the group, and they was a part of the Carlisle group. And so essentially, what he was making a reference to was that the plane all of a sudden went missing, but one of the members of the scientists of the group that received the $200 billion for the money is a member of the Carlisle group. What you think about that?
Can't count anything out. I don't have any substantial backing to support that, but stuff like that does happen, man. Stuff like that does happen. People come up missing, like, you know, this some gangster stuff going on outside of just your gang stuff on the street. Like, it's some real rogue stuff going on at levels way up close to the top. And, you know, when it comes down to money, who gonna get a certain acclaim and gonna get credit for certain things, and, you know, could this idea change the world and all that kind of stuff? Like, yeah, you could very well come up missing. And you know, we as the public, we only get it in the news. So, you know, the plane could very well have crashed, and they could have been and found the plane and everything, but we have no real way of knowing that if it's not projected on the news. So we are at the mercy of whoever is delivering these stories to us. Like, all that information could be known somewhere. It could be it could have been a governmental ploy. It could have been you know, just a thing that the company or the people that were seeking out to work the deal could have done. And it could be documented that they put it into action, but we have no real way of knowing, because we just got to go with what CNN and CNBC, what they tell us. And they could be doing an okey doke. They could have us looking one way and totally missing out on really what happened or what's going on.
I don't know how much truth it is to Mr. Gregory's claims, but I do kind of find it ironic that, I mean, he said it, you know, for us to have Big Brother watching everything. How do you lose an entire plane?
They say the boys turned off the radar, the radar stuff in the cockpit. They turned off the signal. Say the pilots turned off the signal, man. They couldn't pick it up. The towers couldn't pick it up.
So you lose an entire plane, not one time, but actually 2 times, because there was the other airplane that got lost as well, right?
Which one? With the other Malaysian?
Yeah.
Oh, that one got shot down.
So that one was shot down.
Yeah, they shot that one down, but now they trying to figure out, did Ukraine shoot it down or did Russia shoot it down? They thought it was another. The Ukraine thought it was Russia. And Ukrainians accidentally shot that plane down, but it's a lot of going back and forth. He say, she say.
But do these airlines not know? Is that not like a no-fly zone?
And that was the same airline. Both of those were Malaysian Airlines. Yeah, they had it set up, and they they had the different altitudes and the airspace, and they didn't know what was restricted and what was not restricted. But here we go again. Evidently, something changed, or somebody was just out to do it one way or the other. So, because from what I was reading, it was like it was changing. It was kind of changing in real time. So they could have got off in the wrong area, but I think it was, I think it was just a malicious act. Like somebody was trying to send a statement or something. But yeah, they shot that one
going
down.
back to the original one, MH, what was it? MH.
Yours is
going back to
370.
370. We just that plane just lost.
Gone.
Okay.
Nothing.
Okay.
Disappeared.
Okay. So then,
in the Bermuda Triangle.
Then we got is. Where did they come from? So I did my research on is. And for those that are interested, CNN has another fact chart on is, also known as the Islamic State in Iraq and Syria, created in 2006 during the second Bush administration. Essentially, were a part of Al Qaeda, but kind of went off from Al Qaeda. And is ain't no joke. They be having you on TV,
and they putting it on social media, which is puzzling to me.
And I mean, they be having you on the TV, on the social media
with a clear camera too. That picture be like movie type quality.
But where did they come from? Why are we just hearing about is this year?
Well, now all this stuff. So my theory on this.
That's what we talking about. Theory.
My theory on this is it all started when we got Saddam. See, Saddam had the Middle East locked down. Like you wasn't gonna get wrong. He was the dictator for sure. But in terms of all these little other groups, anybody that was potentially challenging him was gonna get shut down. Right? So when we cut
by Saddam.
Saddam had that area on lock. Like he was terror, man. He was terror in himself. And his army was terror. In that region, there was no contesting him. So when we go in and we remove him, now you'd have made space for all these other little groups to run amok and try to get that spot. And they don't have the same organizational system and they don't have that strong hand. So now you've got the next kind of uprising after that was Al Qaeda.
Uh-huh.
And then what happened with Al Qaeda? We go in and we sweep all the Al Qaeda top folks out. Now you make room for another little splinter group, which is what we're seeing now. Mm-hmm. And they've got the same access. They've got the same access to technology and all the materials and supplies. Plus, they've got motive and they've got this drive to get to this position that's really open in terms of controlling that region and controlling those resources. So here they are. And they raising hell.
Where did they come from? So this is my question. Because it's almost like all we heard was Al Qaeda. But then it's like next thing you know, here come is. And I have no idea who they are, where they come from, who their leader is. Why is this the first time I'm hearing about is? Shouldn't we been hearing about is at the same time we was hearing about Al Qaeda?
Well, probably so, but it's like that whole Ebola thing. And I actually heard a guy say this on one of the interviews. It was like they were so small, growing, but they were so small that they weren't a threat. They didn't really identify them as a threat. And then all of a sudden, Al Qaeda is, I guess, and if however you want to look at it, is diminishing. Now this other group is picking up momentum and picking up steam, and like boom, here they are. So some of that, and like I say, we just getting the story. Some of it appears to just be neglect and this whole super confidence that we have that nobody's a threat. Nothing is a threat. We're a superpower. Nothing is a threat until it's up on us. And now we seem like we're in a position of backtracking and trying to fix it when we should have been paying close attention on the front end.
And then I read about you have these Americans that are trying to go over there and join is here. Why would you want to, if you're an American, why would you be interested in joining is?
Because it's radical.
I don't understand. So I kind of okay. So we don't touched on all three of them. Do you think? Do you think there's a correlation between any of this or these three? And secondly, do you think the government? You kind of mentioned that you do believe the government lied to us on Ebola, but do you think the government is lying to us on any of this stuff?
I do. Once again, I firmly believe that we not getting the story that we need. And my feeling on it is that fear controls people. So what I've been paying attention to and what I see a lot of is that we get all this news about bad stuff. When you look at the news, everything is bad. Everything is bad. And it creates this whole thought of what's going on in the world. What is tomorrow going to be like? I should be afraid. I should be really cautious to walk down the street and all these kind of things. And people are operating in fear. And then by putting people in that setting of fear, you can control them. You can say, okay, well, ISIS could come to America. So people gonna be ISIS come to America. We need you to do X, Y, Z, and because people are scared of ISIS, they're gonna go and do X, Y, Z exactly like they've been instructed, even if X, Y, Z may not even be in their best interest, but because they're so scared, they're going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then to go further, I feel like a lot of these things, when you look at the timing and when it's being presented, is setting a groundwork for all of these elections and all this type of stuff. Because if I say ISIS is a threat, and if I say Ebola is a threat and all this type of stuff, my platform is we're going to do everything to fight ISIS. We're pro-American. We're going to do everything to shut them down. They will not be able to do anything in America. We're going to come up with a vaccine. This is my platform. Because of your fear of these things happening, you'll be more apt to vote for me. And then they can put all the bad stuff on a Barack Obama. Say Barack Obama is the reason that Ebola came to America. And Barack Obama is the reason for ISIS picking up so much steam. So anybody in the other party has something, has a figurehead, a point that they can point to and say, you don't want that. You want to come with us.
But are you suggesting that you would think a political party would manipulate and manifest these type of tactics?
We're in America.
What the?
Y'all gonna have to shut us. Y'all gonna have to shut us down, but we gonna say it. This is America. And so there is no limit. There is no limit to what will happen in terms of power, control, and position. People will do anything to get to a certain point and suppress people from really using their own free will and using their own decision making. So yes, I will definitely not put it past what we live in, the government as connected to the media in terms of keeping the people in a frenzy and in a panic so that we don't think rationally and we just go for anything and they take advantage of us in the long run.
When you saw President Obama hug the nurse that was cured from Ebola, what was your initial thought?
I just thought that was just one of those like PR moves to make everybody feel like, oh, it's A-OK. We got it figured out. It's going to be all right. Something that they, in my eyes, had already planned.
I thought it was crazy.
I don't even know if that lady had it for real. Honestly, if you really want to get into conspiracy
you don't
theory,
think she had it?
Man, I don't even know how real that is, because the thing with that is, hey, did you see her? Did you see her? Did you see her? Did they get in the video? Did they get in the video footage? Did anybody talk to her?
So you think this fan that was all made up?
Hey, did my theory now. Did my theory. I just don't believe, because for me it's a numbers thing. If you've got 10,000 plus people in West Africa dealing with this, okay, from those 10,000 people that they contact, nobody prior to now has decided to come to America and potentially transmit this thing. It wasn't until the media started covering it that we started finding out we got 3 people, 4 people in the country with it.
So why would they shoot? Come on. Now this is good. This is good conversation. Why would they just choose her to be the representation, the person to use? Huh?
Man, I don't know, man. She might know somebody. She might be somebody's cousin. They might have sent her a letter. She might have won the sweepstake. Okay, you gonna be the one to get it. You get XYZ stuff. I don't know. But it's just funny. The numbers to me, in my eyes, just do not, it just doesn't add up. I just can't grasp that we don't have cases until the news projects it, but it's been going on in West Africa in the thousands.
So here go my theory. Since we talking conspiracy theory. My theory is that there is a relationship between Ebola and ISIS or ISIS. And my theory is that post September 11th, these radical groups have been trying to find out a way to raise havoc in the States. I think that there's been an attempt from the security and from networks trying to bring down American networks. I think they failed. I watch a lot of 60 Minutes, and I watch a lot of how there have been network wars, and there have been different embassies in different countries trying to get into the United States' network and kind of bring down the internet, essentially. I think they failed there, so I think that they've looked for other ways to essentially have some type of warfare in the States to kind of get back. I mean, at the end of the day, when you have an incident like September 11th, and you have what a lot of the terrorists would call their martyrs, those wars that the United States have over with the countries over in the Middle East, to them, these are holy wars.
Religious.
These are religious wars. And so they're going to do anything they can to combat any type of anything that we do. So we went over there and we killed Saddam Hussein and Osama bin Laden. My belief is that there was an attempt in the computer networking industry that failed. So I think the second attempt was essentially with Ebola, and was essentially trying to start a widespread virus. And I think that the reason I believe that is twofold. Number one, for the media to pick up on it, to me, that rings an alarm that this must be a hot topic of some type of issue. They may have listening ears in the right circles, and when they start hearing certain things, that's what kind of triggers the story. But secondly, for the United States to have a response, so much so that the president had to hug a young lady. Was that hug symbolic to show that we're winning the war? You see what I'm saying? Was that a symbolic hug to say, okay, if you think about it, whenever the president gets up and talks, a lot of times whatever he's saying has got to be important, because he's also sending subliminal messages to the other parties that are the other stakeholders that are active participants in whatever the issue may be. So after a war, he gets up there and talk. He being whomever the president is. I mean, mission accomplished was a speech given by President Bush. President Obama, he responded after we killed Geronimo. You'll you'll catch that. You'll catch who Geronimo is.
Me out
Why you laugh?
Talking about some Geronimo. I'm like, what?
That's what. Yeah, you got it. President Obama spoke after we killed Geronimo. So could that hub be a silent speech or a silent act to show whomever we're at germ warfare with? Germ warfare, did you catch that? Germ warfare, MH370, Dick Gregory, germ warfare, 4 scientists on an airplane that were trying to get a patent for a $200 billion germ warfare. So my point being is that does the Malaysian 370 plane got anything to do with it? I don't know. I don't know anything about no 20 scientists and a patent. I don't know if that's true or not. But I do believe that the Ebola and the ISIS and all of that kind of stuff, I believe there's a correlation between some type of germ warfare that's trying to be struck in the United States. And that's just my thoughts.
With a lot of the different things that go on in the world, there are connecting points to where there is that mutuality to where this event is linked to some other event in a whole nother part of the world when you really start paying attention to it. So you can't write that off as not being a possibility in terms of what's going on and how it's all playing together at this moment in time. So we just need to keep our eyes open and try to seek as much information as possible and inform ourselves and not depend solely on one media stream or things like that. But when you start talking about conspiracy theories, it gets pretty interesting, actually pretty fun to start doing your own investigative work for all my scandal heads out there who like this kind of stuff. If you like drama, get into some of the real drama that's going on in the everyday world.
Man, scandal fell off. I'm all about that, how to get away with murder.
Well, same thing. Shonda killing the game right now. I can't watch it, but she killing the game. Much love.
And even though this podcast was kind of light and entertaining, I think the takeaway from this entire podcast, to your point, BG, is essentially to don't take everything that you're told for face value. Go do research. Go read about this stuff. Go learn. Don't allow someone else's story to be his story. Go read. You actually had an interesting point today where you essentially said we need to document the good things that President Obama has done. And that's a true fact and a true statement, because if we don't document it, it gets lost.
And we the only ones interested in documenting it, so we have to be the ones to do it.
So the whole point is that even though we had this entertaining topic, I kind of wanted to have this subliminally because I wanted to make the point that it's an interesting conversation. Some of it is factual, some of it is good, and some of it is true. And I do believe what I talked about, that whole conspiracy idea, right? But at the end of the day, I think that the whole point is to go back and do some research, learn stuff. Don't allow the media, don't allow others to dictate what our belief is or what our is. Like, go back and relearn it yourself.
Exactly. I truly endorse that. Truly.
That's all I had. That's all I had for today.
I like it. Well, as we do about this time every time, if you want to reach out to us, if you got something that you want us to talk about and put it on the podcast, feel free. You can drop us a line, freelunchpodcast.blogspot.com for blogs and podcasts. Also, check us on Instagram, Free Lunch Podcast, and on Twitter, Free Lunch Pod C. Either one of those mediums, you can drop us a line. Let us know what you're thinking. If you like it, let us know. If you don't like it, let us know that. But either way, we're gonna be right here giving this free lunch.
Hey, we've been in the lab. When you think by the time this come out, the new website will be launched, you think we'll be in the process of still putting it together?
Well, we still processing and getting it right so that when it comes out clean. So everybody be looking out for the new website where we're gonna put all of our stuff in one central location, so that you'll have access to it right there on demand. So we're working on it. We'll have it ready. I'm shooting for probably first of the year. We'll drop it when the ball drop on 2015.
I took my highest woman with me the next night. She didn't want to get out of the car. She said it didn't look right. She walked into the room with her nose in the air. It's 7 a.m. and she's still in there. Smoke-filled room, whiskey and chicken wings. People dancing and drinking, and no one wants to leave. Let's go, baby, to the hole in the wall. And we out.
Sorry, you gotta pardon me. Pardon me, I'm speaking it awkwardly. Charles Barkley, barking, they ain't biting. I'm getting that green broccoli. Properly giving props to the problem. Fulfill prophecy. It gotta be better than that. It gotta be obsolete. Obviously, niggas rolling the dice, and this ain't Monopoly. My purpose was to do it on purpose. Fucking apology. Go.